Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are getting into the chilly willy weather, and then it's and we're getting Halloween season, so we got that too. We also have technology today with Dr. Trimble. I was noticing, Jess, and I don't know if you got it. There was a magazine of some sort with it in chat from a flyer, maybe it was NABC, and it listed like the 36 innovation companies to look at.
I have not seen that yet. I'll have to keep my eye out for it. The stack of veterinary magazines on my table gets pretty high.
I can imagine, but it was an inclusion piece, so take a look for it. So, once you rip the plastic wrapper off, it was
one of those. Okay.
One of those. So it wasn't like buried in the publication, but what do you have for us today? Maybe one of those type of companies, right?
Maybe, absolutely. So today I wanted to talk about third-party services. So, not necessarily some brand new technology, but rather something old that's being used in a sort of new way. And so these third-party services have been around for a while, and essentially it's just a call center, right? Nothing special. It's just veterinary staff answering questions. But there's some really interesting things happening, some really interesting companies that are using this approach to provide care in really unique ways. So I'll kind of start with a little bit of background about why this is important too. So we're currently going through a shortage of veterinarians. And unfortunately, this shortage is projected to get worse. So right now, veterinarians are overall persuading younger students not to take this career path because of debt and debt-to-income ratios and high suicide rates and poor well-being, and the list goes on and on and on. And a lot of veterinarians that have been in clinical practice for a long time are jumping ship to go to non-clinical things like government work or some relief, research, etc. So regular vets are leaving the profession to go to other things. They're encouraging other people not to come in. If we look at technicians stay in the profession on average less than 4 years due to both physical and mental burnout. And so this is something that's been ongoing for a while. Pre-COVID, it was really starting to pick up. Veterinarians were really starting to flood. Now with COVID, it's happening even more. And so there's a projection that over the next 10 years, there will be over 75 million pets that won't have access to veterinary care, largely due to a shortage of veterinarians. Another interesting thing to think about is the fragmentation of our industry. So it used to be that these mom and pop brick and mortar shops did everything, right? You would go in for everything from your very little puppy vaccines to really complex surgeries to internal medicine and chronic cases, all in the same building, all with the same people, all with the same veterinarian. Now veterinary clinics are starting to sort of fragment into more of the human approach where you have a general practitioner who does like the family medicine. You have your specialized care in academic or obviously specialist settings. We have vaccine clinics, we have wellness clinics, it goes on. And so this is sort of a response to both of those issues. One, the fragmentation, and two, the shortage of care. And so one thing that I think is really going to help veterinarians is this third-party service. So you can switch to the next slide and we'll kind of talk about some of these companies and what they're doing. So to start with how most of these work, they are tele-advice or tele-triage services for the most part. Fuzzy, who I've worked for the last 4 years or so, they do provide true telemedicine to some clients that they have a true veterinary client-patient relationship with, but that's sort of an edge case. So we'll talk about these companies as a whole as more non-VCPR, telehealth, teletriage, teleadvice. And so let's say your dog, we'll pick Noah because Kelly's dog is always at the vet. Noah's got an ear infection. Say it's his 3rd ear infection and you're frustrated because it keeps coming back. And every time you go to the vet, they're wonderful and they fix your problem and they give you the medication, but it keeps coming back. And no offense to the veterinarian, because they probably don't have the time to educate you properly, because they have an emergency walking in the door and they have a whole surgery schedule right after, and their brain is on more life-saving things rather than taking the time to really get down to those nitty-gritty educational opportunities that can really help your pet. And that's where these third-party services can come in and be just incredible. So most of them are, some are free, but some are pay per use and some are more of a subscription service. And they will take the time, all the time it takes. Some by video, some by chat, some by text is kind of what you want in particular and what's easiest for you. And they'll teach you that food allergies and environmental allergies can be a source of chronic ear infections. And they can teach you about how to do a diet trial to see what particular thing they're allergic to, or how to properly clean an ear. None of these things are diagnosing. None of these things are treating. It's just all pure advice and education, but these things can help keep you from going to the vet and help keep your pet, obviously, healthier longer, better outcomes. And so it's not necessarily taking a patient from your regular veterinarian, right? You're just becoming a more educated human with your pet. Another use case would be a lot of people with little to no access, right? We said 75 million some pets in the next 10 years aren't going to have access to veterinarians. And so where are they going to get this advice and education that they can trust other than Dr. Google, who we all know is not necessarily the most trustworthy? So these services can really, really help these people with minimal access, whether it is due to, geographic or financial reasons, or, whatever it is. And so, they can teach you all about whatever malady your dog has, as well as provide education about, hey, here's the nearest clinic to you. Oh, you have financial issues? Well, you should plan to spend about 150 bucks. Here are some local places that are, a lower cost clinic, or here's a way that you can get some funding to help you pay for these services. And so these third-party services aren't just providing advice on your dog's health. A lot of them are also providing advice on how to access care around where they are. And so sending you to great clinics, or in some cases, some of these services will actually have partnerships with local clinics where they can book your pet directly into a clinic's schedule to make sure that you get the care. And some of the clinics that I've talked to that have used these services say that the clients that come through these third-party services are better clients. They are more educated. They understand about how much something should cost. And a lot of people, when they go to the vet and the vet's recommending all these diagnostics, they're just not really sure. It's a lot being thrown at you at once. When these third-party services educate these people, say the day before, they have time to mull on it and think about it. And then when they go to a regular brick and mortar veterinarian, they're getting that advice again, and it's nothing new. They've thought about it. So these services I am obviously a huge fan of them. I think that they're going to do great, great things for the industry. But a very important thing to think about too is how these services can actually work into your regular clinic workflow. So there are some veterinarians that are actually recommending that their patients use these services regularly, because they can now provide really reliable, trusted after hours and weekend advice. And they don't have to be on call anymore, because these services are all staffed by licensed veterinarians, licensed technicians. They're providing really, really solid education. So there should be very little concern about regular veterinary clinics partnering with these third parties and getting great advice. So I expect to see these services really grow. It's one, because people want instant access to a veterinarian. I think those services will always sort of continue to grow. But two, I think veterinary clinics are going to start to see the value in using these. Some of them are doing some really cool low-income work. Whisker Docs and Fuzzy specifically are working with low-income areas to try and provide even better services to those people. So keep an eye on these. I think they're going to do amazing, amazing things. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know when maybe they are on the innovation page. I really hope they are, because there's some cool stuff coming out of these companies.
That's cool. I've used some of those, and they've done a really great job. And they've been caring, and then they follow up. They like come back later, like, "Hey Kelly, how's Noah?" Because like you said,
Yep.
Noah's a great example, right?
Oh, Noah.
Oh no! In fact, we may be going back to check his ear soon. So that was a really good example. Yeah. Like,
It's those two sides. Is the people like you that have these dogs that have some chronic issues, but also the people that just can't access care regularly. And so I think these are going to be just a true market expander. They're going to be bringing people to veterinary clinics that just they couldn't get care prior to that. So it'll be good for the industry all the way around.
it will be, and it takes care of some of the low-hanging fruit too, before they have to go like, yeah, no, we really need to do some labs, or in Noah's case, yeah, so we're going to hang up the phone now and you're going to go into the vet because he cannot eat raisins. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the Great Raisin Incident of November 2019. But yes.
Yeah. And I know, Fuzzy, we saw a lot of cases like that. Like, oh my goodness, you're right. This is an emergency. Go in immediately. But a lot of them were like, you know what? That little broken toenail is not an emergency. Let's hold off and we'll check in tomorrow. And then you can redirect people's finances to the big things rather than wasting money on the little stuff. So, the things.
Little things. No, I really think it's great, for how much chocolate did he eat? What kind? What's his weight? Like, no, I think you're going to be okay. You don't need to go in.
That one chocolate chip's not actually a problem.
That's not, but if it was a raisin, we'd be having a different conversation.
You never know with the raisins.
You never know, right? Your dog could eat a whole bag and just be like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I think this is great. It's fun. But they've been great. So anybody who's listening, they've been from a personal dog owner, from a point of view as a dog owner, not as in the veterinary industry. They, it does solve problems. He's like, I'm an hour away from a veterinary ER hospital on a weekend. So, you want to get ahead of that.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It's one of those good for the pet owner, good for the pet, good for the veterinarians, all around wonderful things that I'm excited to see how it goes.
There's so much out there. We get to see how it goes. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, so, we're going to see how it goes. Let's see if we can do this. Come here, bud.
Oh my gosh, you're right. He's going to be a big boy. Look at that beautiful puppy, though.
Yeah, he's sleepy. Yeah, he's 4.5 months and almost 40 pounds.
Oh. I just want to rub that belly.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty rubbable belly for sure. And now he's back asleep.
It's like, whatever, Mom. Well, thank you for showing us the puppy love.
Oh, always, anytime. He's fun to show off. And we will see you next week with another fun little piece of technology.
I think that'll be great. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.